All right. Thanks for coming out, everybody. I appreciate you coming out to join me for a slightly technical, slightly nerdy library presentation. Um, my name is Woody. I'm the systems librarian here at the Orcas Library, which means I'm in charge of the online catalog and the digital services that we offer, as well as managing the general IT. So I'm going to start with some pretty basic things that the library offers, and then I'll branch off into the slightly more obscure advanced things. I'll try to go at a reasonable pace so that it's not overwhelming. But if I gloss over anything too quickly, you can come talk to me at the end of the presentation. I can go more in depth with you. Or if you've tried to set any of this stuff up in the past and encountered any obstacles, I'll be here. I can help you through any of that as well. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is here on our homepage, orcaslibrary.org. A pretty popular service that we offer here at the library is we have 4 conference rooms in order from smallest to biggest. We have a North study room there. If it's about 2 people, so you can squeeze in 4. Fuller room comfortably fits 4. Behind the front desk is Maria's room. You can fit, what, 8 to 12 in there? And then behind that is the big community room, which is bookable after hours. And so if you click on this button here on our homepage, book a room on the right side, it pulls up a little reservation sheet, and you can search by time. Is usually the easiest way to search because you want a meeting at a certain time. You can select a specific capacity, but if you don't, it will just show you what rooms are available at the time that you have selected. So you just fill out this information here and then hit search, and it'll say, all right, these rooms are available, and then you can reserve it there. You can reserve for up to 2 hours per day in a room. We can make exceptions, but you'll need to go through staff. And like I said, most of the meeting rooms are only open during library hours, but the conference room in the back, you can book after hours for a meeting or something like that. So that is the book a room option. The next thing I want to talk about is the events calendar on our front page. Our library director, Ingrid, does a good job keeping this up to date. And I've noticed actually that she has posted some speakers consortium stuff, which I will talk about in a moment. So if you look here, you can see all of the events going on at the library. As you can see right now, there's quite a bit of different things going on. Here's the event we're at today. Every Monday, there's a fundamentals of finance, and then a game night in the evening. Tuesday's knit night, and then we have story time on Fridays now. One thing that is cool about this is the library subscribes to something called the Library Speakers Consortium, which is basically online author talks. So I'm going to click here on the left. You can see where it says Library Speakers Consortium. I'm going to click upcoming speakers. And yes. And you can see here, they have, a lot of best-selling authors here promoting their new books and doing a Q&A. And so these are all free to attend. I think they record them, and you can see past presentations as well, but you'll register in advance. And there is even a Q&A chat if you're watching the video live. So sometimes that does throw a couple people off because they'll see oh, it said this author was going to be here. I'm surprised they're coming to Orcas. But it just means it's an online presentation, and you can watch that from home or on our computers here. All of the services I'm going to show you are accessible from home except for 2, and I'll make that clear when I get there. So that is the Library Speakers Consortium. The other thing I want to show you on our homepage, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, past the many, many events we have going on at the library, I'm going to keep going down. Keep going down. Okay, all the way to the bottom. We put out a monthly newsletter. It talks about the events going on at the library, and Ingrid usually writes a nice introductory blurb. The one in January talked about the top circulating items in 2024. And so I definitely, if you get nothing else from this presentation, I definitely recommend going here and just putting in your email address. We're not going to spam you or anything. It's just once a month. And you can also click on this link here, and there's a repository of previous newsletters in full. Yeah, there's been a lot of positive feedback on the newsletter so far. All right, so that is our library catalog, or sorry, that is our library website, and that is connected to our catalog. And so to get a little technical, the catalog is technically still part of our website, but we're not the people hosting it. Our integrated library system provider is the people who host it. So there's actually 3 different ways to get to the catalog page from the home page. The easiest, or the way I'm going to do it, is I'm going to highlight over library collection here in the upper left and select catalog. But if you want to have fewer clicks, you can search directly for what you're searching for in this middle text bar, or you can go right to the account login page if you're only wanting to access the catalog to renew items and things like that. So I'm going to go library collection catalog. And now I'm going to move on to talking about some of our catalog features, because this is probably, if you think of libraries still in the traditional way of they're there as a place for you to check out items, this is probably the main service that you're going to use. These carousels in the home page, 2 of them are curated lists by our librarian Lynn, and then 3 of them feature new items of different categories. So let's say I want to, I've heard a lot about this book, A Gentleman in Moscow. So I want to put a hold on it because I heard it was very good. So I'm going to search for it here. Now, in this scenario, we own 2 copies of it. You can see down here, one of them's checked out, one of them's checked in. But I won't be at I won't be able to get into the library for a few days. So I want to make sure that I get that copy that's checked in before someone else has a chance at it. So once you get a library card, which hopefully everyone here has one, if not, I can sign you up for one when we're done. I'm going to click place hold on the item. It's going to pull up this login page. Please ignore my autocomplete. And pretty much all of these services are going to ask for 1 or 2 things from you. The most common thing is going to be your library barcode or number, which is the number on the back of your library card. So I'm just going to type that in. And your PIN number is the last 4 digits of your phone. You can see here, it also asks for an easy username or password. This throws people off a lot because they'll come up to us at the desk and say, what's my easy username? What's my easy password? And the answer is, we don't know because we didn't create it. Once you log in with your barcode and PIN, you can set up an easy username and easy password for yourself so you don't have to type in this 16-digit number every time you want to log in. But that's something you created for yourself. So you can always log in using the barcode and PIN is always an option. But if you've created the easy username password, you can use that as well. So I'm going to log in here. I'm going to place a hold on the first available copy of Gentleman in Moscow. It doesn't matter if it's a specific copy since they're identical. The only scenario that occasionally matters is I've cataloged some of the graphic novels. So like the first volume of a graphic novel is in the same record as like the 6th volume. So then you need to pick a specific item. But anyway, so I'm going to submit a hold for that. Hold placed successfully. And so now if I go up to the top and look at my account, I can see I have 1 pending hold, A Gentleman in Moscow, and I will receive an email when that's ready to pick up. Basically, whoever's at the desk, we'll see a notification. We'll see the ticker tick up, and we'll say, oh, there's a hold on this item. We go pull it from the shelf. We check it in. It goes to the shelf behind us, and then the person who had it on hold gets an email. So that's a very basic functionality. It's very useful. If the library doesn't have something that you're looking for, up here at the top, you can select this item request button. This is available on our library website as well. You can go to the collections and interlibrary loan form. But if you're browsing the catalog and don't see it, you can get there right there. So I'm going to click item request here at the top. It's just a very simple Google Sheet. The rules of what you can request and how often are here. And you simply put in your name and contact information. Sorry, my auto scroll. Your name, contact information, and the format of the book, or the format of the item, whether it's a book or not, and the targeted audience for it. You hit submit. It goes to our interlibrary loan librarian, and then the same process, once it comes in, usually about 2 or sometimes 3 weeks, you will receive an email, and you can come pick it up just like any other hold. All right. So now I'm going to go over a couple pieces of navigation in the catalog. The first one, since we're still on fiction, is the related page here. So if I really liked A Gentleman in Moscow. I thought it was a great book, and I'm looking for more books like it. So if I go on the item page here and down here under the related tab, you can see here they give top picks based on A Gentleman in Moscow, which is sort of going to fall under the category of like literary historical fiction. And so you'll probably recognize a lot of these books as falling under that genre. But you can get slightly more specific and have specific author read-alikes, or you can say specifically, oh, I liked this book because, it had the tag of Russian Revolution. So I can click on Russian Revolution and it will show other items that match that tag. The nice thing about this related service is that it's integrated with our catalog, which means it won't recommend things to you that we don't own. So any of this stuff you might click on and say, oh, here's a Ken Follett book. And you can click check availability and it pulls it right up in the catalog and you can place a hold on it. Okay. Another handy tool to use. Let's say I want to learn about home repair. I'm just going to click on the first one that comes available. The nonfiction in the library is organized by Dewey Decimal Number, so things at the same topic are next to each other. So I say, all right, here's a guide to ultimate home repair, but that doesn't quite look what I'm looking. That's not quite what I'm looking for. Or maybe I've already used that one, didn't like it. So I'm going to click on this Browse Virtual Shelf button here at the top. And it actually gives a visual representation of what that shelf where this home repair book is next to. So assuming everything is shelved correctly, that book should be between this home maintenance book and this shed book. And you can actually use these arrows to navigate through all of the shelves. And so I say, oh, actually, this is maybe more what I'm looking for, this book on van life. So I'm going to click there, and then I can place a hold on it, just like any other item. All right. Couple more things. When you're navigating the catalog, somebody came up to me a few days ago and said, I'm looking for mysteries set in the San Juan Islands, which was a great question. And there was actually a surprising amount of them. So the way I can find that, because if I search for San Juan Islands, it's logically going to pull up a bunch of things that are not fiction. History of San Juan Islands, photos about the San Juan Islands. So I can use these tools, these filters on the left side of the page to sort of trim that down. It didn't pull up, pretty much all of it is books here. You can see it pulled up 142 books. And then these are a lot less substantial. But if I go to collection here on the left, it gives me a drop down. You can see that there's 16 books in the mystery collection that fall under the San Juan Islands search results. So that's going to give you quite a few options. You can filter the specific collection. You can filter fiction or nonfiction. You can filter whether or not you want adult books or kids books as well. The one last thing I'm going to show you on this page you can see on the left side here, it got 16 results in our library catalog, and I got 4,708 results in this tab that says magazine articles. So I'm going to get into them a little later. We subscribe to a bunch of databases that are essentially scour academic journals and magazines, and some of those are integrated into our catalog here. So if I click on magazine articles here, it's going to show me all those results that match San Juan Islands in our databases. And you can see it really jumps all over the place in terms of what the content is going to be, because it'll pull from like, news articles, it'll pull from science databases. So like, here's an article about Limekiln Point. Here's an article about demonstration of DNA barcoding in the San Juan Islands. And so you definitely are going to navigate through, and you're going to find a lot of stuff that, you don't need, or stuff that you didn't know that you did need. But it's a nice way to just get a lot of information all while staying in the catalog. The last thing I'm going to show you on the catalog is if you're back on this collection, our homepage, the library circulates many things that are not books or DVDs, even though those are still our main items. So if I go to this library collection and select the third drop-down item that says equipment checkout, it will automatically filter all of the equipment that the library has that's available for checkout. Now, these things check out for 1 week. Like, for example, most of them live behind the front desk, so you'll just ask whoever's at the desk to check it out. We have Discover passes to go to Washington State Parks. Those check out for a week. We have bat detectors that plug into a smartphone and essentially work as a sonar detector. We have a ghost meter, which is like an EMF detector, a dowsing rod, and a couple I just wanted to spotlight because I think they're pretty neat. This one is called a kilowatt voltage meter. So the way it works is if you have, maybe you notice your energy bill went up substantially and you're not sure why, you can't, like, we plugged in a space heater and we're like, oh, our energy bill seems to have gone up. And so you can plug this into the wall and then plug the device into this and like leave it there for a few days, and it will tell you how many kilowatt hours your device has used in that time, how much power. So that can be a pretty handy tool. The other one, which is one of our most popular circulating items, is the mobile hotspots. We have a pretty good number of these. Basically, what this does is it creates a Wi-Fi internet network using the cell towers. So if you live in some corner of the island that doesn't have good internet reception, or you've run out of data on your phone for the end of the month, or you're going on a trip, I've used these on the ferry, and you actually get pretty good reception through most of the ferry ride. You just hold, there's only one button. You simply hold this button, it creates a network, and then you use your device to connect to the network with the password that's posted right there. Right. And one thing, just to give a heads up, for all these equipment, they are the only thing in our library that does have fines. They check out for a week. You can renew them 3 times, as long as no one has them on hold. But, we don't want anyone hoarding them. That was the initial thing when we got those hotspots, is people would just hold on to them and other people would not, we would just be waiting. All right. So that concludes sort of the catalog portion of what I want to talk about. Now I'm going to talk about a lot of digital services that you can get through the library. The first ones I'm going to talk about are kind of the big 2. The first one is the Washington Anytime Library. People will often refer to this as Libby. Libby is the application that you use to access these digital books and audiobooks. The Washington Anytime Library is the provider we get them from. It's essentially a consortium of libraries in Washington that all pay into this. So I got here through our digital resources page on our homepage. I'm going to be coming back to this page a lot. And so I just click on Washington Anytime Library. I'm already signed in as myself, but I'll sign out real quick because it will take you to this page. All you need to do is you select Orcas Island Library. You put in your PIN number, or sorry, you put in your barcode and then your PIN number. Reminder, that's the last four of your phone. And then you can sign in. Even though these are digital items, they still pay a license to be able to use them, which means there is a finite amount that can be out at any given time. And so it's a mixed blessing because we pay into this consortium, we have a huge collection of things to pay to choose from, but sometimes it means you can be on a slightly longer waiting list for stuff. But I believe, you can correct me on this, Ingrid, if there's something you really want and you feel like the wait list is really long for it, you can talk to one of us and we can actually buy an additional digital copy just for Orcas Island patrons. Yes, Ingrid.
There's something that's not there that you thought there should be, let us know and we might be able to get it.
Yes, thank you. That's a good thing too. You can see down here at the bottom, it will tell you if it's an ebook that you would read digitally on your computer or your tablet, or if it's an audiobook where it would just be someone reading it to you. It works here. You can go right through the Washington Anytime Library site on your computer. It's a little more user-friendly on a phone or tablet if you download the Libby app, Libby. Sometimes I like to actually navigate and check out stuff on here, but then it will sync automatically with the app on my phone. So that's probably like our largest digital service in terms of use. But another really good one is Kanopy streaming video. So again, on the digital page, you click on Kanopy or you just go to kanopy.com. The nice thing about going from the digital page is it defaults to know that you're at the Orcas Library, so you don't have to select the library. It takes you to this page. One thing that does throw folks off with Kanopy is that for most of these services, you'll type in your barcode and PIN to access them. For Kanopy, you type in your barcode and PIN to create a Kanopy account. And then you create the account using an email and a password that you set up. And so you won't have to use your PIN again. This is a lot like the easy username barcode situation is people come up to the desk and they'll say, I don't know my Kanopy password. And we say, we don't know it either. So you can have things, you can reach out to Kanopy and get that reset, but you'll only have to log in with your barcode once. So I already have a Kanopy account. So I'm just going to log in with my information. Okay, so as you can see here, it works pretty much like any other streaming service. You have a queue that you can keep track of what you want to watch. You are limited to a ticketing system. You have 15 tickets a month. Most movies or shows cost like 2 tickets. Please go use it. The library basically pays per watch. So, ideally don't click 30 seconds of thing, go 30 seconds of one thing, 30 seconds of another thing. Yeah, we encourage people to use it because it's still, cheaper than us buying DVDs of everything. And they have a really good selection of classy, A24 foreign language stuff and weird schlocky stuff like the Winged Serpent and Night of the Blood Beast. So it's well worth exploring. If you have a smart TV or a Roku or Fire Stick, you can download the Kanopy app directly onto that and then sign in the same way and navigate just like you would Netflix. Yes, there is a button of Kanopy Kids here at the top where it filters to the things that are targeted at kids. I see some Aardman stuff right here. And those don't use any tickets. So that is Kanopy. The last section that I'm going to talk about here is library databases. So I'm going to go back to this digital resources page. And you can see here, I tried to organize these as best I could by topic. There's just an outrageous amount of information here, but it can be a little tricky to navigate just with how much it's there. So we've already gone through the ebooks, audiobooks, and streaming video. Oh, actually, one thing I'll throw in real quickly. is there's something called the Washington State Palace Project, which is essentially an alternative to Libby. It's a lot, I think it's not as used, but it does mean that if there's something you're looking for on Libby that has a very, or the Washington Anytime Library that has a very long wait list, I'd also recommend checking this Palace Project site. It has a separate app, so it's a little inconvenient, but there's a pretty good selection on there. All right. So, like I said, there's a lot of databases here, so I'm not going to go too in depth on most of them, but as we go through here, if anything catches your eye, like all these are accessible from home except for two. Or you can come talk to me, I can tell you more about it. So I will spotlight a little bit the Consumer Reports website. Usually Consumer Reports requires you to have an account that you pay a monthly subscription for. But if you're accessing it from here in the library, or if you type in your barcode at home, it will take you to the full Consumer Reports page for free. So you can scroll down and say, okay, I'm interested in buying, a new mattress. And so I can click here and it will show the rating of all the latest mattresses and a general buying guide. So that's a pretty handy service. And then a lot of these other databases all function pretty similarly. They're just divided by topic. So imagine that like there's this giant repository of scholarly articles and magazines and things like this, and this just does a little bit of the trimming down for you. So let's look at this home improvement reference database real quick. So you could search here, for example, for like weatherization if you wanted to learn about that. But the nice thing about these databases that are specific is if you scroll down a little bit, they have articles like on efficient home heating, or there's electrical diagrams, painting, plumbing. And so it can sort of narrow your results right from the start and hopefully get you the information you're looking for. Yeah, and so all of these are essentially pulled from different scholarly sources. Okay, so yeah, a lot of them are basically going to look that same way and just be focused on their specific topic. Like small engine repair is going to be like if you have a weed whacker, a lawnmower that needs repair, or a jet ski, you can go there. Hobbies and craft databases has like guides for crocheting or sewing or beading, or I think they even have like a section on indoor recreation, so you can probably learn rules to different card games and stuff through there. I'm going to skip job skills and technical literacy for the moment, but I will go back to it. Yeah, so there's databases for looking up history and science. I'll go to Ancestry in a second. There's health databases, so if you're suffering from some kind of illness or curious about a medication, you'd be able to look those up in here. There's also this legal information reference center, which is nice because they have printable generic forms that you can look, search, and print out. Okay. Newsstream is basically a collection of full articles from newspapers all over the country. So if you're from Illinois and you want to check in with the newspaper from your hometown, it's possible that it's here in Newsstream. You can get free access to the New York Times. If it's a little convoluted, basically you'll click here, they'll take you to a new page. Actually, I'll click here. They take you to this new page with a code. You redeem the code, which sends to your email, and then you follow the link from your email. And you have to do it. I think you have to renew it like every day. Yeah, because I've done it from home and it works fine. You just set up the account, but it does mean you have to go through this database link every day. But if there is an article there that you're especially interested in reading, that's a good method. These reading recommendations, Novelist, are a lot like that related tab that I showed you in the catalog, but they're even more in depth. Like you'll be able to say, oh, I really like this item because it's this book because it's character focused, or because it's about relationships in the 1920s. Like you can get really granular about what you're looking for. The drawback of it is it will recommend things. It's not tied to our catalog, so it will recommend things that we might not have. But that's all the more reason to look there, and then you can recommend new stuff for us to get. We have, yeah, so there's a novelist recommendation for both kids and adults. The are used research tools that work like the other databases, but they're specifically kind of more introductory topics, a little more easy to use. And if you really, you wanted to write a research paper, really get in depth on stuff, you can click this academic databases, and that's unfiltered. It's not to a specific topic. So when I showed you those magazine article links earlier that had 4,000 entries for San Juan Islands, that's essentially what these are. All right. And the last, nope, there's two more. I want to talk about the genealogy resources available at the library. We have two pretty good ones. So if you click here on historical and science research, the first one that comes up is ancestry.com, which is sort of the most famous and used tool to track your genealogy. It is the service that is only available from within the library. So if you are connected to the library Wi-Fi or using one of our computers, so like I can click here and it should take me right to the full Ancestry page where I can search for one of my ancestors. But if you tried to access that link at home, you'd get a weird login page and you'd get stuck in a loop. The other thing is newspapers. We used to have a giant microfilm reader in the back room, and we have a bunch of microfilm. That microfilm reader is now stashed in my office because newspapers.com, which is a part of Ancestry, we sent in all our microfilm and they digitized it. So now you can actually access local newspapers from this area, San Juan Islander, really early Island Sounder, dating all the way back to 1891. And so this is not because I'm full of myself. This is just to give an idea because it's actually searchable, which is very cool. So if I search my last name, you can see there's this article from 2005 that features my last name because it's maybe references me, or yeah, here's one about my mom. And so it's much more convenient than how we used to have it, of having to fast forward on the microfilm reader and trying to find something at a very sort of vague date. So that is very cool. All right. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is these job skills and technical literacy pages. So North Star Digital Literacy is sort of an introductory to computers and some basic programs. You can see it's provided by the libraries of Skagit and San Juan counties. In all honesty, I haven't found it that useful because getting through it and the setting it up is, I feel like if you're good enough with computers to be able to get to that point, it may be a little too basic for you at that point. But they do have like intro to Microsoft Word or Excel. I would recommend LinkedIn Learning because this is pretty amazing. It says your library invites you to LinkedIn Learning. Get started. Again, you'll type in your card number, your PIN. And so LinkedIn Learning is essentially a video repository that covers all kinds of fields. Like there's a lot of stuff that is tech focused that gets really, really in depth in terms of like, here's database management. There's things specifically for, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, but there's also just sort of general work skills. Like here's a class on leadership and management. And it's just wild how much stuff is in here. Like you can see there's 1,555 courses on leadership and management. And I'll take one. So like, let's say this one's maybe a little more practical. So like, I want to learn more about accounting. So it will tell you like, here's a course on accounting basics, or you can select a specific job that you might be interested in, and then it will actually give you courses that lead to that. You can also search for programs. So like, let's say I want to, oops. Here's 179 courses on Microsoft Excel. So it's pretty wild how much stuff there is here. And when you set up an account, you can essentially save the courses and plans that you want to go back to that seem interesting to you. And it will save your progress as you go through them to come and go later. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff there. That's all free to you with your library card. It's provided to us through the state. That is where I'm going to leave it for now. That's a pretty good overview of the different facets of library services you can get.